Welcome back to What Are T-Noobs with General Disturbance. This is the T-10. It's the Tier 9 Soviet heavy tank. It's located on the north spawn of Halluf and it's under the command of Captain Ashstorm. And alongside him in the Concept 1B is Yo Mamas, and the other platoon mate is Moondiver in the Wizzy 111 GFT. Game on. Well, the T-10 is kind of unusual because it was the last heavy tank that the Soviets ever built. Yeah, they started working on it in 1950 and they completed the design in 1959 and they produced 1,439 of them until they stopped production in 1966. So there's probably some field in Russia where there's a whole load of these being stored at this moment. Who knows, they might actually get reactivated for the war. Anyway, it's got a 122mm gun, which is rather good, and the M62 T2 is capable of 440 alpha and penetrating 258mm of armor with standard ammo, and with the heat rounds it'll go up through 340mm. Okay, Captain Ashton has reached the northwest corner of the map and there's nobody on the other side. It's normally where we'd expect to see some enemy, but nobody there. Maybe they're just not caring to poke around the corner. I think he's going to quickly drive across the gap. Oh, there's somebody. Well, he did get hit in the tracks by the Patriot. In fact, it was the plainclothes Patriot, the T-26E5, but with the camo rather than with the Patriot clothing. Who have we got over here? Oh, there's a large number over here. He fires one in, gets 446, which is a high roll. And that came off the M103. Trying for another shot. This time round he punches into the E75, but he only gets 381. Standard reload is 11.79 seconds. And we can see Captain Ashtorm's got it down to 10.77, so he's reduced it by a second. He's bouncing plenty of rounds that are coming. It's a very strong turret. In fact, this tank has often been described as a heavium because it's got heavier armor at the front of the tank than the IS-3. More of the armor is placed at the front than at the rear. It's got a better engine, it's got a better gun, but it's a kind of redesigned and up-armoured version of an IS-3. In fact, it was going to be known as the IS-8, but for the fact, of course, that Stalin died, and, well, they didn't want to name it the IS-8 after that, because they didn't feel any obligation to call it that, so they called it the T-10 instead. Now, Captain Ashstorm's turned around, he's headed back towards his own camp, and I think you can see why on the minimap. Yeah, the enemy has actually managed to infiltrate and come up, and unfortunately we lost our platoon mate, Moondiver. He got taken out by the enemy tanks. Okay, so we're headed towards our cap area to try and stop them capping out. Enemy Brask up ahead, been spotted. Can you get a shot on this guy? Oh, that one went right in front of him. I'm sure he saw that though, and he's heading into the village. He just got whacked by somebody. I think one of our teammates managed to get a shot on him. I think he's to our, yes, he's to our left. There he is, auto aimed on. Over the rise, let it fall. That's it. Ooh, took a round from the T-54, but a nice bit of RAM. And he's gone. We didn't get the kill, but here comes another Brask. We're not loaded, but we're going for it. Oh, took him round in the rear, and another one from the BT-12. Get the gun down, that's it. Oh, he got a fire! And he got a high roll for 524. So we just got shot in the back by Batchat 12, but I think the Batchat 12 ton, where is he? Well, the T-54 took a hit now. The Brask is coming round to unload his 105mm rounds, but he couldn't get through. Couldn't punch in the armour. Okay, looks like the Barask. Well, I can't understand where he's going. We've lost our Arty, so he can't be going after that.
Moving to support you. Thanks a lot.
Well, at least we got some support. We lost, well, we've still got Yo Mama's alive, but I think he's kind of caught up at the moment. Oh, lovely kill on the Barask. Nice one. And the T-54 is now one shot. And I think the Char Future, yes, he had that one in mind. Well, that's cleared all of the enemy tanks near the cap area. Now we just need to go and help the rest of the team. So 1 kill to Yo Mamas, 1 kill to Captain Ashstorm so far. The scores are even, but the enemy team's got far more in the way of hit points than we have. And I think Captain Ashstorm's decided he's going to go up over the top and attack the enemy with the others from the front, whilst the Concept 1B, Yo Mamas, goes around the other side. Of course, Yo Mamas is a member of What Arty Noobs as well. That's how he met Captain Ashstorm. At least I think they do. They are in the same clan now, actually. 35RI. Oh, that was a kill by Yo Mamas. So he's now got 2 kills. We've got 1. Okay, who's next? This is kind of an elongated IS-3 in some ways. You might say this T-10. Go for it. Oh, yes, that's a kill. Took out the IS-2 too. Now, we've got an E-75 ahead of us. Line him up. He's a one-shot. Easy. Lovely shot. Right into his side. Punch straight through. He's out the game. So that's 3 kills now to Captain Ashstorm. 2 kills to Yo Mamas. Ooh, he took a round from the Wizzy 111. And that was an HE round. And then we got hit by an APCR from the Char Future 4. And now we got hit by the GW Tiger. Everybody seems to be shooting at us. Well, we haven't got much in the way of hit points left, so we need to end this battle as quickly as we can. Captain Ashstorm's kind of feeling drafty now. There's a few holes in the front of his vehicle. Okay, that Wizzy 111 GFT is waiting for Captain Ashstorm to poke his head out. Yeah, he's decided he's not going to do that because he's been a bit mauled. Yes. Yeah, there's a few holes. So you can always determine a T-10 because it's got that kind of guardrail, splash rail, right across the front of the tank, and yet it's still got the pike nose. If it's got a pike nose and it hasn't got the splash rail, it's probably an IS-3. Okay, who's going to be next? Yo Mamas has got 3 kills now as well. No Brothers in Arms, I'm afraid, because Moondiver didn't survive without with any kills. But at least we got a chance of getting some more. The Wizzy 111 GFT is totally focused on the other guys. And oh yes! Yo Mamas gets the kill and that wins the game. So a very good battle by Yo Mamas and Captain Ashstorm. Here's the end of battle results, and that was the first class tanker for Captain Ashstorm in the T-10. He managed to get a fire for effect for doing more damage than the hit points to his own vehicle, shell-proof for blocking more damage than the hit points to his own vehicle, a bruiser medal for getting at least 5 critical hits, in fact he got 6, and he got a Hand of God for surviving the battle after having received damage from 4 different enemy tanks. On top of which he got a Spartan medal. He blocked a non-ricochet or non-penetrating shot. I should say a ricochet or a non-penetrating shot from an enemy team player when he had less than 10% of his hit points left, and his win rate from that battle was 7,377, which is Super Unicum standard. Very nice indeed. He said it was a good carry with his pros. It was. They did actually get between them 7 kills. Let's have a look at the team score. Well, there you go. It's Captain Ashstorm right at the top of the table. He didn't get the high caliber, but he did get that Spartan. 4,098 hit points of damage goes to Captain Ashstorm. The next highest scorer was that GeForce on his own team with 3,361, followed by the M4A1 Reveille with 3,077. Yo Mama's got 2,676, which puts him just below the GeForce on the next one on the damage list. So he's actually in 5th place overall. Moondiver got 1,472. He was trying to defend the cap against a number of enemy tanks all coming at him at the same time. And those are the tanks that Captain Ashstorm and the GeForce managed to clear out. Anyway, let's have a look at the number of kills. Well, the highest number of kills was the GeForce. He got 5 kills. Yamama's got 4 kills. Captain Ashstorm got 3 kills, and that's 1, 2, and 3 on kills in this game. That's not a bad score if you think about it. They killed 12 tanks between them, those 3. When it came to base XP, it's Captain Ashstorm at the top with 1,198. Then we've got the Reveille with 1,138, and of course that's because he was tier 8 in a tier 9 game, so obviously he was getting extra XP for every tank he hit that was 1 tier higher than his. And then in 3rd place we got Yo Mamas with 1,134, and the other the GeForce for 1,024, and Moondiver got 602. Captain Ashstorm fired 16 rounds in the game, got 12 direct hits on the enemy and 10 penetrations. Damage of 4,098 hit points, of which all of it was at close range. 15 hits received from the enemy, 4 penetrations, 10 non-penetrations. Very strong, very tough turret. 3 hits by way of splash damage, 2,320 hit points of damage blocked by armor. He spotted 4 enemy vehicles, damaged 7 of the enemy, killed 3, did 367 hit points of damage assistance. He earned 63,987 credits from the battle, and after repair, ammunition, resupply and consumables, he actually made a loss of 23,323 credits, I think that is. Was it? Yes, it is 23. And when it came to XP, he earned 1,797 times 5 for the first victory, 3,594 for mission completion, took away 12,579 experience points altogether. So let's have a look at the armor profile for the T-10. It's an incredibly strong tank, and you can see by these red sections here how strong it actually is. If you're in a hull down position, and Captain Ashstorm was when he was taking on some of those enemy tanks, specifically the M103 and the E75, you can see they were having a lot of difficulty trying to pen him. In fact, the only weak spots really on this tank are the lower plate, which is way down here, and you can see, if I keep this thing straight on, you can see the lower plate is only 120mm of impacted armor, but the effective armor goes up to 190 because it's slightly angled down, as you can see. In fact, unfortunate thing is that this lower plate is actually so perforous that it's nearly always the driver sitting behind this viewport who actually gets killed if they go for the penetration on the lower plate. The only other place, of course, they can penetrate are these cupolas. And you can see you haven't got much to aim for, but it's only 102mm of impacted armor. So if you've got a heat round and you actually do manage to connect with this cupola, it's more than likely going to go straight through. Even an armor piercing should be able to, at tier 9, go through the cupola. Same on the other side. So you can see as well, the roof armor on the tank is about 40mm. In fact, these tanks are very vulnerable to top attacks. So if you're in an Arty and you see a T-10, aim for the top of it, because just look at the thinness of the armor. Yes, if you aim for the engine deck, it's only 16mm. So you should easily be able to penetrate the engine deck of a T-10 with an Arty round. So just try and land a shell right on top of either its turret, if you can, or on the engine deck, and hey presto, you might get a pen. But as you can see, it's got a pike nose, which means obviously it deflects shells well if you're aiming from the front. If you aim and the T-10 is angling, you should get an easier pen because it's only 120mm and the angling will only give it 170 effective instead of the 222 they would actually get if they were face on to you. So if there's a lesson there, if you're in a pike nose tank, always try and keep your face front to the enemy. Don't try and angle as you would with other tanks, because if you angle, it decreases the amount of the effective armor and makes you more vulnerable. So don't try and present any flat plates to the enemy. But you can see the turret is incredibly strong. Look at this frontal turret armor. It's only 240 impacted armor, but the effective armor, because it's cast steel and it's angled, is very, very high indeed. 348 millimeters of armor. So very tough to penetrate one of these from the front if you go for the actual front of the turret. I wouldn't even try it, actually. It's just not worth it. If you try and aim for the sides, there's a good chance that it's going to ricochet off or bounce off because of the angling of that turret. Most of these cast turrets are based on the similar design to the IS-3, and they're cast turrets designed to do just that, to actually force the shells to bounce off. You can see the sides of the T-10, 80 millimeters. You can fire between the tracks. But the problem is there's spaced armor on this tank as well. And you can see the spaced armor there. It's that little triangle area. If you hit that area there, you've got two layers of armor to go through. The 30 millimeters of the spaced armor and the 80 millimeters on the sides of the tank. So yes, try not to shoot it on the shoulders if you can help it. Try to shoot between the tracks, between the bogies, but not the actual bogies themselves, because of course that's spaced armor as well. The only other place you can aim is above the spaced armor onto the engine deck area. You can possibly punch through the sides of the turret. Yep, there's enough. You can see it's almost only 160 or thereabouts on there, and you can definitely shoot through the rear. 90 millimeters on the rear of the turret, but it's much lower on the rear of the tank altogether. On the hull, 50 millimeters with effective of only 60. So that's the armor profile of the T-10. Don't try to shoot it on the front unless he angles. If he angles, go for the flat plate, and you should be able to punch through that. The alternatives are to go for the lower plate or the cupola. Let's have a look at the modules. Here's the module profile for the T-10. You can see driver up front, yes, sitting there on his own. He's got the gunner behind him on the right, and the tank commander actually behind him on the right hand side as well. The only person over on the left hand side of the tank is the loader, and he's got ready racks all around him. Now this tank is very susceptible to being ammo racked, and I think you can see why. You can either fire a shell straight through the centre of the pike nose or the lower plate or lower glacis, or you can actually, if you punch it through at the right angle, you can actually get one of ammo racks which are either side of the driver. Now those are the long-term store of shells. There's also long-term stores on either side of the vehicle, and there's another one below the loader as well. So yes, there's ammo racks all over the place for you to hit, including one in the bustle. And remember, I did say the rear of the turret can be penetrated, so you can get a shell in there. On this side of the tank, you've only got the radio, so I wouldn't aim from the right hand side. If you're trying to get a shell through the side of the turret, go the left hand side, because there's that ammo rack there, but that's a little more difficult to get because it's on the angled steel. This one's much easier in the bustle. You should be able to get through that. At the rear of the tank, we've got the engine in the center, but unlike the fuel tanks being either side of the engine, they're actually either side of the transmission, so they're a little further back and a little more difficult to get. But remember, the spaced armor is on this area here, so in order for you to get the fuel tanks, you've got to, well, I don't think you can actually get through into the fuel tanks through the spaced armor. I think what you're going to have to do if you want to get the engine area is to go between the tracks, and that's about the only way of getting at the engine. Either that or to come around the back and shoot it through the transmission and either hit the corners to get the fuel tanks or directly straight through the rear to try and get the transmission and the engine itself. But there's ammo racks all over the place in this tank, so the T-10 is prone to getting ammo racked if a shell does get through. And remember, it's also very easy to penetrate from above with an Arty. So if you land a shell on the engine deck, you're more than likely either going to hit the engine or these fuel tanks. So that's another reason to actually aim for the engine deck, which is longer than normal, because it's fairly easy to pen. So there you are, that's where all the modules are on the T-10. I hope you enjoyed that battle. If you did, please give this video a like. Do subscribe to our channel. Leave a little comment down below because it feeds the algorithm. And we actually have had word that Google have responded to my feedback, and they are actually applying a cash payment or payment to our account, so we will be able to send more money to the Red Cross Ukraine appeal very, very shortly. Thanks for watching.